welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss the 5 worst types of products you can sell on Amazon as a beginner. I just want to put the disclaimer that I am saying as a beginner for a specific reason. If you are more experienced and once you have launched a product or two, you can definitely delve more into these types of products that we're going to talk about in this video. But when it's your first time around, you definitely want to take the most simplistic approach to selling on Amazon. And one thing that all of these products will have in common is that they are going to present extra hurdles and challenges to you as a beginner. So the point that I'm trying to make is that it's not that you can never sell these products, it's just that your first time around, you don't want to overcomplicate things. Just go in the most straightforward way possible and avoid these products at all costs. So if you want to find out what products I'm talking about, keep watching the video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you like it, and we're gonna get right into it. Number 1 on my list of products that you should avoid selling are any products that are fragile. So when I say fragile, I mean anything that is easily breakable. So think glass, ceramic, anything that is going to be very delicate. And there are many reasons for this, but the number 1 reason is when you think about the journey that your products have to go on before they ever reach your customer. So for those of you who are not familiar, when your products are being made in China, that is not the end destination, right? That's where they're originating from. So your supplier is going to assemble your products, they're going to put everything together, package up your products, and then they're going to put it in a box or a bag or whatever packaging you're using, and then your products are going to be shipped all the way from China to the US. Now it's important to remember all of the steps that are involved in this entire process. So once your products are done being made in China, your products will then be put on a truck of some sort, and then that truck will be driven to either the port or the airport, depending on if you're doing sea or air shipping, where the products will then be delivered. But let's use the example of sea shipping. So your products have made it from your supplier in China and been transported all the way to the port, where they will then be put onto a ship. And then when they go onto the ship, they're going to travel across the ocean, and then they're going to land in California or wherever they're going to be stopped. And then the products will then be removed off of the ship onto the ground or wherever they're being checked in. And then it's going to go back onto a truck and then driven to Amazon's fulfillment center. And this is a very simplistic way of putting it. So even that alone, you can see that your products are going through a lot of different steps before they ever even get to Amazon. Now, when they get to Amazon, your products will be checked in, Amazon will scan them in, and then Amazon is then going to disperse your products all over the United States if you are selling on the US marketplace. So your products could land in California and then be delivered to the fulfillment center in Texas, for example. It's in Dallas. Huge. A lot of beginner sellers have their products sent to Dallas. Amazon, just as a quick caveat, Amazon, they tell you where your products are going to go. You don't get to choose. But if your ultimate destination is Dallas, Texas, Amazon will receive your products, and then they're going to decide where your products are going to go based off of their own formulas and algorithms. And so your products are not going to stay in Dallas, Texas. They're going to deliver some of them to Washington State, and then some of them to New York, and some to Florida, and some to Michigan. So your products are going to be all over the place. Once again, think about what would happen if you were selling something delicate like a glass item, and the product is being moved and passed and put on a truck and taken off a truck, and all of these different steps involved. It's going to be very, very hard to keep those products secure. And this is something that, yes, you can talk about with your supplier. You can ask them to put certain materials or kind of pack it in a certain way to keep the products more safe and kind of cushioned on the journey. But it's just an extra risk. It's not necessary to do that. You can just simply choose to sell something that is not going to give you that extra loss of peace of mind thinking about what happens if the products break on the way. And I just want to quickly say as well that Amazon does have this drop test that technically they require all of your products to be able to pass their drop test. And what that is that the product has to be able to be dropped from a certain distance in the sky. When I first started, I believe it was 5 feet or so. I think maybe it's 6 feet now. Don't quote me on that, but I will put it somewhere on the screen if I can find it. But either way, what they're saying is that your product can't be so delicate that it cannot withstand the impact of being dropped from a reasonable distance in the air. And so think about, again, you're selling wine glasses, you're selling something ceramic. Is it going to be able to withstand that? So it's just an extra thing that I don't think you want to have to stress out about. And if you go on Amazon right now and you go to, again, wine glasses as an example, and you go to the negative reviews, I guarantee you the majority of the negative reviews are going to be that the product was broken upon delivery or the glass was cracked or whatever it is. So it's just not a headache that you want to deal with. It's pretty much asking for negative reviews and returns, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So again, number one on my list is anything delicate, glass and ceramic included. Number two on my list is any product that is gated or restricted to sell on Amazon. Now these might sound like the same thing, but they're actually different. Restricted products on Amazon are products that you just cannot sell. They will not allow it. It doesn't matter who you are. They're not going to let you sell those restricted items. So you don't even have the opportunity to if you wanted to. However, gated items are products that you can technically sell, but Amazon is going to require documentation from you because they have to make sure that the products are being made safely. And so think about items that could potentially be a health hazard or pose some type of a safety risk. Those normally are gated. Some of the categories I can think of right off the top of my head are grocery items, so anything someone is going to consume, and that's funny because this is actually also on the list, but anything someone is going to eat or put into their bodies would be grocery, and that's going to be gated. So gated means that you're going to have to give Amazon certain certificates that you can potentially get from your supplier. Some suppliers will have them, others will not. There are ways to get ungated. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it can be done. But the point of me including it on this list is me simply telling you that I don't believe that it's necessary to sell a gated item. There's millions of products that you can sell on Amazon. There's no reason to pick something that is going to have an immediate barrier to entry before you ever even make $1 on Amazon. You're going to have to, put in a lot of effort to get ungated. It's not impossible, but is it worth the effort? For me, not necessarily. And I will just say this, I was ungated to sell my first 2 products on Amazon because they were considered topical items. Topical items are any products that are applied to the skin. So think lotion, moisturizer, makeup, all of those are topical items. And so in order for me to sell those, I had to get ungated. And I'm not gonna lie, I paid someone to get me ungated. It was not cheap. It was definitely around, I wanna say $600 to maybe $800 for someone else to do it for me. You can do it yourself. You just have to know how to work the system. And even as I'm saying it, y'all can tell this is like over the top, right? It's more complicated than it needs to be. Just don't sell anything gated and you're good to go. There is a list of gated items that you can just Google so you can see which categories and subcategories are gated and you'll be good to go. Just do your due diligence and just skip the stress, honey. Just pick something that's not gated, okay? Next on my list is the entire clothing category. So clothing very much so is one of those categories that if you are able to get into the right niche within clothing early on, yes, you can make a ton of money. Think about TikTok leggings, for example. I'm big on TikTok, so I am always scrolling, and I know y'all remember those kind of scrunched leggings that everyone was wearing. They're like, my boyfriend just can't keep his eyes off of me because of these leggings. Whatever, it was a big trend. And if you were able to start selling those leggings in the beginning, you would have made millions, I'm sure. But ultimately, you have to kind of catch the trends with clothing at the right moment, because at this point the entire clothing category to an extent is pretty saturated unless you are selling maybe an accessory or something like that. But there's no dress that you can sell, no legging, no t-shirt that you can sell that's not already being sold in mass. And that is not to discourage you, and I'm not trying to say that you cannot ever sell clothing items. I just want you to know the risks that come along with selling clothing. And once again, this is specifically for beginners. If you have sold clothing online in the past, you have your own website or whatever, then you're fine, do whatever you want. But for those of you who are doing this for the first time, do not start with clothing for the following reasons. 1, clothing items are very, very hard to keep track of. And the main reason for that is the fact that you are likely going to have to keep different sizes, different colors, patterns, variations. And that is going to make for a lot of complication when keeping track of your inventory and knowing when to reorder, a different size, or just managing your overall products will be more difficult. For example, let's say that you launch a dress and you have small, medium, and large, which isn't very inclusive, honestly. You're going to have people who will want an extra small, an extra large, and whatever else can be offered. But let's just say you have small, medium, and large. You will launch your product and have no clue which size is going to be the most popular. So let's say that you get 200 of each size, and then you run out of mediums within a week, and now you have a bunch of smalls and a bunch of larges that just won't sell. What do you do now? Because you can't really order more of your medium because you've got your money tied up in your other sizes. So immediately that presents a problem as far as inventory management. So I don't think that that's a very wise product to start with. That's just one of the reasons. Another reason is that clothing as a category has notoriously high return rates. And so if people are ordering your product based off of what they see on the listing, they might think it's going to fit them beautifully. They might think that they're going to like the material, but they can't see it. Or actually they can see it, but they can't feel it for themselves. And so they are, taking a chance by ordering the item. And sometimes your product could be exactly as described. It looks the same. It's very accurate to the listing, but someone gets it and they just don't like how it looks. You know what I mean? You just kind of run the risk of having people be more critical of the items because it has a lot to do with their own preference of how they look in the item, not necessarily the item itself. So that, again, is going to lead to higher return rates and more annoyance for you, more frustration, just thinking that you've sold out and then you get a whole bunch of returns. You think you're going to cash out $5,000 and then the returns come and now it's only $2,000. It's not something that you're going to want to deal with, trust me. Next on my list is electronics in general. So electronics is a category on Amazon, and there are a bunch of reasons why I personally don't like the electronics category as a seller. Consumer, definitely, I'm buying up all the things, but as a seller, I see the problems from a mile away. And one of the biggest problems is the fact that there can be really a lot of trouble trying to get tight quality control on electronics. If you're having your products made overseas in China, which most likely you are, especially for electronics, they're very expensive to have made in the US. So you're going to be going overseas to have these products made. And it can be difficult to ensure that the quality is where you need it to be. So if you're having headphones made over in China, I'm not saying that they're destined to be bad quality. I'm sure you can find great quality ones, but it's a little bit harder to dig through and to know what products are going to actually have good quality and which ones are going to be less than ideal. Another reason why I don't like electronics is actually similar to the clothing category, which is the return rates on electronics as well. So it kind of just ties back into the quality control issue. Obviously, if the electronic product does not work, they plug it in, it doesn't turn on, they plug it in and they use it for 3 days and now it's suddenly not working. Those are things that can come up very often, and it can make it so that your products are unreliable and no one wants to, pay a higher amount, because remember, electronics typically are going to be more expensive and heavier in general. And so people will be more critical of things that they spend more money on. If they're going to buy something for $5, $10, $15, they're probably not going to be as intense with their criticism of the item. But if they're buying something for $25, $30, $40, $50 or more, they're definitely going to return it if it's not working as promised or as anticipated. So just, again, the headache of it all. Who wants to do that? Not me. So electronics is definitely on my list of products to not sell on Amazon. And last but not least, we've got grocery items. So grocery items, when I say this, I'm just talking about anything that is going to be ingested. So food, snacks, drinks, supplements, vitamins, all of that is included in the grocery category for purposes of this video. So not only are grocery items gated, as we've talked about before, but grocery items come with a whole other set of problems, okay? First of all, keeping track of expiration dates and kind of knowing when to send the product in to ensure the safety and quality of the end customer is a whole thing, right? If your product has a shelf life of 1 year, but your supplier is making it wherever it's being made, and it takes some time for the product to be delivered to Amazon and then some time for Amazon to check it in, and you're saying that it expires 1 year from today? Is it 1 year from the day it was made? Is it 1 year from the day that it was received from Amazon? You have to be very careful with that. And any delays can kind of throw off your expiration dates. And I just think that it's just an extra hassle to have to consider something like that when you're very first starting out. And then possibly the biggest reason I would never sell a grocery item is the extra liability that comes with selling something people will consume, because you never know people's allergies, you never know how their body is going to react to anything that they're going to ingest. And I personally just would not want the stress of worrying about if someone gets hurt or injured in some way by eating the thing that I have created or the thing that I've had made. I don't think that it's worth the stress of it. And if you're having your products made by a very credible manufacturer and they're maybe local instead of having it made in China or wherever you have it made in the US, you're going to pay a lot more money for that, but possibly that would give you a little bit of peace of mind, because you might be able to keep a tighter eye on the manufacturing process and maybe go visit the factory and, really feel comfortable with them making your products. But I don't think that the majority or probably the average person can afford to have a grocery item made in the US, because it can be very expensive. And you guys already know, starting out, we want to buy low cost items, $5 or cheaper, and it's going to be hard to find a grocery item for less than $5. So those are the main reasons I personally would not sell grocery items as a beginner. In fact, this is really the only thing on this list of items that I would not sell ever. I've been selling on Amazon for 4 years, so could I sell a clothing item, an electronic, or whatever if I wanted to? Absolutely. I feel experienced enough to be able to take on the extra challenges that come with it, but grocery is the one that I just would never touch, and that's just me. But feel free to make your own decision on that. This is just, my list would not be complete if I did not include grocery items. So I hope you enjoyed that video of the 5 worst types of products to sell on Amazon. I hope I scared you from selling those products, honestly, because I know that your life will be a lot easier if you sell outside of those types of products, at least for your first time around. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give you the best advice I can. And trust me when I say that this is in your best interest. So let me know what you think of this video in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one.